ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦਿ ਜਪੁ ਆਦਿ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦਿ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦਿ ਜਪੁ ਆਦਿ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦਿ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦਿ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦਿ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦਿ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦਿ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦਿ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦਿ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਕਿਛ ਕਰਮ ਨ ਜਾਨਾ ਨਾਹਿਨ ਨਿਰਮਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਕੈ ਅੰਚਲ ਲਾਵਹੁ ਬਿਖਮ ਨਦੀ ਜਾਇ ਤਰਣੀ ਗਿਆਨ ਧਿਆਨ ਕਿਛ ਕਰਮ ਨ ਜਾਣਾ ਸਾਰ ਨ ਜਾਣਾ ਤੇਰੀ ਸਭ ਤੇ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਨਾਨਕ ਜਿਨ ਕਲ ਰਾਖੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਜੋਰ ਮੈਂ ਗੂੰਗਾ ਕਹਿਤਾ ਹੂੰ ਤੇਰਾ ਸਦਕਾ ਤੇਰੀ ਸ਼ਰਨ
ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਬਹੁਤਾ ਕਰਮ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਨਾ ਜਾਏ ਵੱਡਾ ਦਾਤਾ ਤਿਲ ਨਾ ਤਮਾਏ ਕੀਤੇ ਮੰਗੇ ਜੂਦ ਅਪਾਰ ਕੀਤਿਆ ਗਣਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕੀਤੇ ਖਾਪ ਟੁੱਟੇ ਵੇਕਾਰ ਕੀਤੇ ਲੈ ਲੈ ਮੁਕਰ ਪਾਹੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਮੂਰਖ ਖਾਹੀ ਖਾਹੇ ਕੀਤਿਆ ਦੁਖ ਭੂਖ ਸਦ ਮਾਰ ਇਹ ਭੇਦਾਤ ਤੇਰੀ ਦਾਤਾਰ ਬੰਦ ਖਲਾਸੀ ਭਾਣੈ ਹੋਏ ਹੋਰ ਆਖ ਨ ਸਕੈ ਕੋਏ ਜੇ ਕੋ ਖਾਇਕ ਆਖਣ ਪਾਏ ਉਹ ਜਾਣੈ ਜੀਤਿਆ ਮੁਹ ਖਾਏ ਆਪੇ ਜਾਣੈ ਆਪੇ ਦੇ ਆਖੇ ਸੇ ਭੇਕੇ ਕੇ ਜਿਸਨੂੰ ਬਖਸ਼ੇ ਸਿਫਤ ਸਾਲਾਹ ਨਾਨਕ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਬਹੁਤਾ ਕਰਮ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਨਾ ਜਾਏ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਪਤਿਤ ਪਾਵਨ ਭਗਤ ਵਛਲ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਦੇ ਖਜ਼ਾਨੇ ਜੋਤ ਰੂਪ Tan Tan Sadguru Sahib Ji, Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Di, Guru Khalsa, Saad Sangat Jiyo. We're blessed again to be gathered here to continue learning from Sri Japji Sahib, the Amritmay Bani brought to this world by Tan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji, the embodiment of Akal Purkh Vaheguru on this earth, as they came just over 500 years ago to save their creation. The first Bani contained in Tan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, the first Bani read when Khande Di Pahul Amrita is being prepared. The first Bani that we read at Amrita Vela at the start of our Nitnem, Sri Japji Sahib, that gives us Brahma Gyan, is the discussion with the Siddhs. And the Siddhs have been asking the questions about the extent, the limit of Akal Purkh Vaheguru from Tan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji. This week we have reached the 25th Pauri, and the Siddhs continue asking and developing their questions. They ask about Akal Purkh Vaheguru, the Lord God. They ask about their gifts. They ask about God's actions, how they work. We describe God as being the giver of life, the organizer, and then the deliverer of life back into themselves. They ask how God does that. How do they give life? How do they organize it for their creation? And how do they deliver their creation back into themselves? They ask about the gifts God gives His creation. They ask about what people do with those gifts, how they react. And Tan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji in this 25th Pauri continues the discussion.
Satnam Sri Vaheguru Sahib Ji, Bahta Karam Likhya Na Jai.
So karam, we know, can mean action. And first of all, for that first translation, Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji is telling the Siddhs, Bahta Karam Likhya Na Jai. A lot of God's actions, a lot of what God does, Likhyan Nahi Ja Sakda. We can't write it down. It cannot be recorded, it cannot be told. How God has started this system of 8.4 million lives. How God measures the actions of His creation, collects their actions, and then sends those actions that have been sown so that those lives can reap the rewards, negative or positive, of the actions they have committed in their next life. It cannot be told how God organizes our lives for us, how they bless us due to our previous actions, and then how God delivers us back into themselves, breaking us out of this 8.4 million life cycle. So those actions, those deeds of Akal Purkh Vaheguru cannot be recorded, cannot be told. There are so many. At the same time, karma can mean blessings, gifts. What about the gifts of the true Lord? What gifts does He give His creation? And again, those gifts cannot all be recorded. How He gives us this life, how He designed this human body. And within this human body, He developed our senses so we can speak, smell, touch, hear, and see. How He gives us arms and legs to do what we please in this world. But the greatest gift He gave us within this body was the gift of our breath, of our swas, that we breathe every second. Because through that gift is where we have that opportunity to break free from the 8.4 million life cycle. Until that gift of breath goes, we have an opportunity to break out by constantly repeating His name with our tongue, and then developing that spiritually so it goes inside. But until that breath doesn't finish, we can continue repeating that name that will save us. Because the day that breath finishes, that opportunity is lost and it has gone within this life. There's a time, many years ago, when there was a great saint and he had his followers, and that saint was just about to leave the world. It had come to an end of his physical life. And his followers, his chelle as you would call them, his sevadars, were at his side and asked the saint, the great saint, to give them a final teaching so they can take that and develop that and put that into their lives so they can become true saints, one with Akal Purkh Vaheguru. And that saint said, what I would like you to do for me before I give you that great teaching, that last teaching, is to go and find and try to buy more breaths, because the teaching I'm about to give you, I haven't got time to tell you. I need you to go out and look for, and if you can buy more breaths, more swas for me, then I will be able to breathe a little bit longer, hence allowing me to give you this great teaching that you ask for. And his followers, they went out into the town, they looked high and low, they went in that locality trying to find somebody who could give them more breaths, trying to buy it from them. They went to different shopkeepers, they went to other spiritual people they thought were spiritual, and each person they went to laughed at them. How can you buy more breath? How can you buy more swas? God gives you the amount in the life. You cannot get more, you cannot get less. You breathe the amount you have been sent with. In the emotion that their great saint was about to leave the world, they had lost touch with their intellect and only realized when these people told them that and laughed at them that you cannot buy breath. They came back to their saint and they asked their saint and they said, we've been told we cannot buy breath. Why did you ask us to go buy breath? And the great saint, just as he was about to leave the world, said that was the teaching you were looking for. This breath is the most qimati, the most priceless thing, the greatest gift you are given in this human form. Because with that breath, you can do so many good things, and especially the greatest of all, repeat the name of the Lord. And until that breath is with you, you can continue repeating that name, and when that breath goes, that opportunity, that chance has gone. And that was the teaching that you yearned for. That this breath is so priceless, you cannot get it from anywhere. You can only get it when you come to this world, and that is limited. So why do we waste this opportunity, waste that chance that we have in the world with our breath? We spend our time living, doing many other things, putting to the side the opportunity to praise the true Lord, to worship the true Lord, to repeat his name. We put that to the side in our daily lives, developing ourselves in worldly ways, materialistically. But that breath is going each time we breathe, every second. And when that breath goes and finishes, that opportunity will be lost and we will be back down in that cycle. We must pray to Tan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji to bless us all, that we don't waste one breath. We don't even waste the next breath, because who knows, the next breath we breathe out, will it come back in again? Or the next breath, sorry, we breathe in, will we be allowed to breathe that out? Because our time may be up. And Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji has begun this pauri by explaining to the Siddhs that Guru Sahib Ji's actions, the way they do things, cannot be recorded, cannot be written, and their gifts they give to humanity, to their creation, they cannot be recorded. They are vast and they are so much.
Vadda Data Tilnatamai.
Vadda Data, Data the giver, Vadda the greatest giver, the great giver. Tilnatamai. Tilna, not even for an instant. They ask for anything in return, not even for an instant. When they give us their gifts, when they give us what we ask for, when they give us their blessings, do they say, I will only give you those gifts if you do this for me. They're not like us. When we give somebody something, we possibly at times expect things in return. But the great giver is great because they don't expect anything in return. They give in accordance to our karam, to our actions we have committed. It's not one rule for one and another rule for another. They treat us all, good, bad, high, low, human or animal, with the same rule. Whatever we sow, that is what we will be, that is what we will reap. And that is how God decides on the gifts, the blessings He gives us. That's why He is known as the greatest giver. In the time of Moses, Moses in his discussions with the Lord questioned the Lord on how He continues to give. And he asked the Lord that why don't He give him some responsibility to give, to do the duties, to do the good work of the Lord. And Moses asked the Lord that you give everybody food. You make sure they have that food depending on their karam, when they are to receive it. I mean, some people in the world go without food for many, many days, many months. But again, that is in their karam. But when it is their time to receive, to eat, then you always give. Why don't you give that opportunity to me? And the true Lord, Vaheguru, explained to Moses, it is a very difficult duty to make sure everybody gets when they are supposed to get their food. And Moses said, no, don't worry, I will be able to do it. Akal Purkh Vaheguru gave Moses an opportunity for one day to feed the world. And as Moses went around doing that duty, he made sure everybody got everything. And then he looked at one place and he saw this person digging out dead bodies from graves and doing wrongful acts with them. And Moses became very angry at what he saw. And he felt so angry at that time that he decided not to give the food to that person. And when at the end of the day, when he went back to see the Lord, Vaheguru asked Moses, did you feed everybody? And he said, yes, I fed everybody. And then the Lord said, what about that person that was doing wrongful acts? Are you sure you fed him? Because Akal Purkh Vaheguru is Antarjami, the knower of every secret, the knower of everything, the seer of everything. And Moses then admitted that due to his anger, due to that person doing wrongful acts, he didn't feed him. And Akal Purkh Vaheguru said, that is why it's so difficult to do this duty. Because everybody, depending on their karam, when they are supposed to be given food, they have to be given that food. Whether they are doing wrongful acts, whether they are doing rightful acts. Everybody has to be treated the same way within the Lord's hukam, depending on their karam. And that's why sometimes we feel that rich people or people in power seem to get stronger, seem to have their way. And sometimes we feel that maybe we're not as strong as them, we're not as powerful as them, we're not as rich as them, and sometimes our way doesn't happen. But that is due to their actions that they have done in their previous lives. They have done possibly good actions to have that opportunity, to have that power, to have that wealth. But while they are using that wealth and using that power in not the correct ways, in incorrect ways, then those karam that they've done are being burnt away and being used up. And there will come a time when their good actions are used up and bad actions will remain, and therefore they have to take the bad for the actions that they may have committed wrongly in previous lives. And God's hukam works in that way. Everybody's treated the same. So tamai also means tamo guna, that characteristic of tamo which we described in a previous body as being an animalistic characteristic. And a characteristic of that is being angry. Just like Moses got angry when he saw that wrongful deed, Vaheguru never gets angry. They give everybody with the same rule. Now Moses then checked if Vaheguruji does do that, and Moses had brought an ant in his cap, and Vaheguru showed Moses, if you lift that cap up, you will see even the ant that you brought is being fed. And when he lifted his cap up, he saw the ant had a grain of rice. And so even Vaheguru had given that ant, because that ant was due that rice. So God looks at every being, every part of his creation with the same glance. Whatever they have sown, that is what they will reap, whether they are high, low, good, bad, whatever they have done. They don't have no anger. They don't have no tamogun. They don't have that characteristic. That is why they are known as Vadda Data, the greatest giver. And then the Siddhs developed. Because Vaheguru is the greatest giver, what do people ask for? How do they ask for it? And Vaheguruji continues, Kete mangehe jod apar. Now jod means warriors. Mange, to ask. Apar meaning from the infinite Lord. Paravar to rahet, that's how you describe it. That means Vaheguru. Par means there is a limit. Apar means there is no limit. The infinite, limitless Lord. Kete means many. Multiples, multitudes. Many people. Kete. So every time we hear Kete now in the rest of this body, it means many people. Many of his creation. Multitudes of his creation. Mangehe jod apar. From apar, the infinite Lord. Ask for being great warriors. Beg for being great warriors. Now, Tan Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji has blessed his Sikhs, blessed his Khalsa to become not only saints but soldiers. A true Sikh is a saint soldier. And there are different types of warriors. There is one type of warrior which is called a Surma. The next type of warrior is called a Rathi. The next type of warrior is called a Maharathi. And the fourth type, the greatest type of warrior, is called an Atrathi. Now a Surma is a warrior who can fight one-on-one and be victorious. That is what you call a Surma. And in Gurbani, that word is used over and over. And then you have a Rathi. A Rathi is a warrior who can handle 100 or even 1,000 warriors all by himself. And then you have a Maharathi. A Maharathi can handle tens of thousands of warriors all by himself. And an Atrathi can handle many, infinite, countless number of warriors all by himself. Now you must think, how can one person handle, let alone infinite, countless number of warriors? How can one person handle even 100 or tens of thousands? Well done, Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji has given the bounty, has given the blessing to his Sikhs. Sava lakh se ek ladaun, tabe Gobind Singh naam kahaun. That one Sikh has been blessed with being able to handle 125,000 warriors by himself, because a Sikh is a saint soldier, the true warrior. Bhai Uday Singh, he looked after Tan Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji's horses. When Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji, along with the Char Sahibzade and the Gursikhs, left Anandpur Sahib, after they had created the Khalsa, the Mughals had united with the Hindu Hill Raja, and the Hindu Hill Raja came and attacked Anandpur Sahib from one side, and the Mughals had Anandpur Sahib surrounded from the other side. And they had promised the Sikhs that they would allow them to leave and move along without attacking them. But they lied, and when Tan Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji and the Char Sahibzade left, they were attacked from both sides. And by Uday Singh, who I've just mentioned, a Sikh who would look after the horses of Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji, he continued holding back the Hill Raja and the Mughals with his army. And he gave his Shahidi, his martyrdom. He didn't have any itcha, he didn't have a want that Vaheguru give me this. He did it for his love of the embodiment of Akal Purkh Vaheguru at that time, Tan Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji, the father, our father, the father of the Khalsa. And he handled an unlimited amount of warriors. Warriors from the Mughal army and warriors from the Hindu Hill Raja's army. He handled them all by himself to allow Tan Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji and the elder Sahibzade to cross the Sarsa, and they ended up at Chamkaur Sahib, and allow Mata Gujri Ji and the Shote Sahibzade to cross the Sarsa, where they obviously ended up being separated from Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji, captured and then martyred themselves at Fateh Sahib when they were bricked alive. The two Vadde Sahibzade obviously continued with Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji to Chamkaur Sahib, where they gave their life, so we can live our lives out today without necessary any oppression that they had to go through. So Bhai Uday Singh held back that whole army by himself with his Sikhs, with his battalion. So there is a place for not only Surme, not only Rathis, not only Maharathis, but Adarathis like Bhai Uday Singh, who can hold back infinite number of warriors on their own. But if we take that further, what type of warriors are we in this path of spirituality? The teaching of Sri Japji Sahib, which is giving us the teaching to develop our spirituality, to ultimately become one with Akal Purkh Vaheguru. What type of warriors are we? Now a Surma, the first level of being a warrior, is one who can hold back from doing wrongful acts with his body. So maybe we're in a store and our friends are saying, let's all steal something. He holds himself back. He holds himself back from doing any wrongful acts, possibly like that person was doing that Moses didn't feed, because they are holding their body back from doing a wrongful act. It's very hard in Kaljug to do that in itself. So one who is able to do that and hold his body back from doing a wrongful deed is known as a Surma. They are a warrior. But then further to that, one who holds back his senses is known as a Maharathi. Sorry, a Rathi. One who holds back his senses to doing wrongful acts is known as a Maharathi. Forgive me, is known as a Rathi. And then a Maharathi is one who holds his mind back for thinking about wrongful acts. And an Atrati is one who is completely free from wrongful acts. Completely free. So in our world, in our path of spirituality, we can still be warriors. We can still ask for being great warriors, as well as being physical warriors, just like Bhai Uday Singh and the great warriors of the Khalsa. We can be warriors within our path of spirituality, to hold ourselves from doing wrongful deeds, to stop our senses from doing wrongful deeds, to stop our mind from thinking of wrongful deeds, and in completely being free from wrongful deeds. We can become Atratis. And at the same time, on this path of spirituality, we have learned many, many times that the first stage is to listen. The second stage is to believe. And the third stage is then to follow. Once you believe, to follow and act out the teaching. And if you just listen, you are a warrior, you are a Surma. If you start believing in those teachings, you are Rathi. If you then start acting on those teachings and following that command, you are a Maharathi. And those who, after following the command, have reached oneness with the Akal Purkh Vaheguru, they are Atarathis. So whether we think of this as being physical, being a physical warrior, or whether we think of this as being a spiritual warrior, there are many. Kete mangehe jod apar. There are many, and maybe we should be asking Dhan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji to bless us, just like these many who beg Akal Purkh Vaheguru and get that gift of being warriors, whether they're being physical warriors or spiritual warriors. Jod can also be translated to be Jodadiyan. Jodadiyan are like bentiyan that we do to Vaheguru and that we do to Dhan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji to bless us. And there are many of those who ask for the gift of being able to ask, of the gift of being able to do benti. And those who get that gift of being able to do benti the correct way are always blessed and are given what they ask for, what they have begged for. And usually the Gursikh is the one who gets what they want because they have asked for spirituality and oneness with the Akal Purkh Vaheguru.
Ketya ganat nahi vichar.
Ketya, there are many, ganat nahi, infinite, who ask for vichar, contemplation. Contemplation of the true word, of the true name, of Gur Shabad, the teachings. There are many who ask, who get that opportunity to ask for contemplation. Ganat nahi. There are countless number of those who get that gift of being able to vichar, to contemplate, to ponder on the teachings and develop them within their lives. But at the same time, Keteya Ganat nahi vichar. There are those who ask without doing any vichar, nahi vichar, without contemplating. Are they asking for the right things? Are they asking for the things that are going to break them free from the 8.4 million lives? Or are they asking for worldly things to develop themselves materialistically, which are actually going to get them more attached to this world and break them free from that path of spirituality? There's actually a type of funny story of a person who was very poor. And what he used to do, he used to throw a stone at the temple every morning, at the mandir. And then there was the Pandit of the mandir, who would live in a separate house, and he'd obviously go there in the morning and open it up, and he would do his worship. Now this person, because he was so poor, he felt he was mistreated by God, so he would throw stones at the mandir every morning just before he does his work. He used to make clothes and make shoes and sew those things, because in the old days shoes were hand sewn. And he would throw a stone. Now one day it rained very heavily, and the Pandit who looked after the mandir, who looked after the temple, looked outside and said it was so heavy with rain, there was a flood on the streets, and he decided to wait until the rain stops before he goes in the morning to open up the temple. But that person who was poor, he didn't think about the rain. He still, as he would do every morning, throw a stone at the temple. So he threw a stone at the temple. And then he was blessed in this story, because it was seen that the person who was actually supposed to be the spiritual one was scared of the rain and didn't show his love to come and open the mandir so the people could come and worship. He stayed at home, so he was obviously attached with his own pride not to get wet. But this person, even though he was doing a wrongful act by throwing a stone, he still did his, what we could call his nit name. His nit every day, his daily prayer of throwing that stone. That was his prayer, throwing a stone, because he was aggrieved with what he'd been given in his life. And so he was blessed to ask for anything because of his vishwas, his bharosa, his strong willfulness of continuing to do his daily deed. And what he was blessed with, he said, well, I'm really poor and I can't get much work done. So if you, God, can give me 2 more hands and 2 more legs, I can get through more work. And he was blessed with that gift. And he actually came back with 2 more hands and 2 more legs so he could get through more work. But when the people of the village saw him, they thought he was like a freak. He obviously looked like a freak, having 2 arms, 2 legs more than he should have. And then he was stoned to death. So he still got his comeuppance for what he would do, but it just shows that some people, what we're going to take from that story is the teaching. Sometimes we ask for things without even contemplating. Without contemplating. There are many people who ask for their gifts without any contemplation. Are they asking for the right thing? Is it going to do them any benefit? Is it going to do them the ultimate benefit of breaking from the 8.4 million lives? And there are many of those. And there are many people who get excited or get trapped within the Vishavikar, the Panchachor, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Hankar, and they break and they damage their body by being trapped in those and doing wrongful deeds and wrongful acts because of those Panchachor. There are many of those who fall into that category, but there are also many of those who ask for the gift of breaking, of breaking from the Panchachor, of breaking from the world, of breaking from society, so they can develop spiritually and they can be closer to Vaheguru. Which type of people are we? Are we those who ask due to our Panchachor, or are we those who ask to break away from our Panchachor? And there are many of those who take the gifts but then mukkar pahe. They denied they were given any good. They were denied they were given any blessings. We're the biggest deniers. We're being given the greatest gift of this human life. We're being given the greatest gift of being in the sangat of Dhan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. But even we deny that gift because we still follow society, we still follow the Panj Chor, we still do not follow the teachings of Dhan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, of Akal Purkh Vaheguru. There again, another Sakhi of the time of Dhan Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji. There was a Sikh called Sutre Shah, and Sutre Shah actually came into the Sangat of Sri Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji. When he was born, he was born with teeth, and he looked, to use that word again, like a freak, and his parents abandoned him where there were loads of dogs. And one time, Guru Sahib Ji, Sri Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji and the Sikhs were travelling, and they heard this baby crying. And Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji blessed and took that baby into their Sangat. And he was known as Sutre Shah, and he stayed with the Gurus till, obviously, Dhan Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji. And there are many Sakhiyan of Dhan Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji, where he would do his daily actions, and where he would cause laughter within the Sangat of the Khalsa, and even amuse Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji at times. But within his stories, in his Sakhiyan, in his things that he would do, there would also be great teachings. And there's one such time when he would go to a shop and he would buy sweets for himself, and every time the shopkeeper would ask for the money, he would say, Koina, Dhan Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji, they will pay you out of the Khajana of the Golak. And many, many days and months passed, and then the shopkeeper said, obviously, you know, he wanted his money, and he went and he asked Dhan Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji that Sutre Shah has been taking sweets on a daily basis and he's not been paying for him, he's used your name. And Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji called Sutre Shah, who was very, very simple, and they asked him, said, why are you going every day to buy these sweets on my name? And Sutre Shah said, I'm only going because there is a pankti in Sri Japji Sahib that Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji gave us. There is a pankti that if I don't do it, then who's going to do it? You say in Sri Japji Sahib, Kete le le mukar pahe. There are many people, there are those who take and then they deny what they've taken and they pass on that to somebody else. I'm only making that pankti true. And Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji and the Sangat laughed at that, thinking, you know, he's taking this pankti le le mukar pahe. He's taking and then he's denying what he's taking. But Dhan Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji said, there's also the ugly pankti. Have you taken note of what Sri Japji Sahib, Dhan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji said after that?
Kete Murakh Khahi Khahe.
Murakh, the foolish person. Kete Murakh, there are many foolish people. Khahi Khahe. They continually take those gifts without realizing what they are doing, why they are doing it, and putting bar on themselves, because obviously they are committing an action, and that action then has to be paid for. And Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji said to Sutre Shah that with the pankti you've read, the following pankti is the teaching. So if we take and we deny what we have taken, then we are foolish, because we have continually taken kahi kahe. We completely take and eat, but we don't realize that those are being taken down to account. What we are doing is being written down to account, and we will one day have to pay for those actions that we commit. Sutre Shah then continued the laughter by saying, yes, Guru Sahib Ji, obviously your ugly pankti is true, but the first pankti is for me, and the next pankti which you've just read, Kete Mura Kahi Kahi, they are for others. And again the Sangat laughed and were amused with the answer, with the simple answer of Sutre Shah. But for us, the teaching we're going to take away, the teaching that Dhan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji is giving to the Siddhs, Kete le le mukar pai. If we take and then deny, if we borrow something of somebody and then we deny, we refuse to give it back, whether that being money, whether that being different assets, whatever it is, then what we are murak, we're foolish. And there are many of those foolish people who continually take, continually eat kahi kahe, and refuse to give back. And what they haven't realized is that what they are doing is actually building up their negative actions, which one day they will have to pay for.
Ketya dukh bhukh sadmar.
There are many who are given the gift of dukh, of bukh. Dukh meaning pain and suffering, bukh meaning hunger. Sadmar. Sadmar means forever hit. So those are being hit daily because they are being given pains and sufferings, or they feel they're being given pains and sufferings, and they're being given hunger. There are many who ask for that. They are asking for that dukh of they're asking for that dukh of being separated from society, because we feel it is dukh to be separated from society, because we feel we have no friends then sometimes, we have no one to speak to. But many Guru Sikhs ask for that dukh, because they read, as they read in Rehra Sahib, dukh daru sukh rog paya. Dukh is the daru, is the medicine, and without dukh we don't remember Vaheguru. So there are many of those who ask for dukh, but at the same time there are many of those who are given dukh due to their actions. And at the same time there are many who ask for bukh and hunger. Hunger, they are given hunger due to their actions, but there are many Guru Sikhs who ask for hunger. What type of hunger do they ask for? They ask for the hunger of their senses being deprived of doing or committing actions due to the Panj Chor. So they are the type of dukh and bukh we should be asking for. And we should be asking to be hit by that dukh and bukh, by those pains, by that hunger daily, sadmar. But there are many who are given that due to their actions, because possibly maybe they have le mukkar pahe. They are murak because they kahe. And now what has happened to them? They are dukh bukh sadmar. They are constantly given dukh, they are constantly given bukh. But that is due to their own actions. Why do we blame Akal Purkh Vaheguru? The Guru Tanak Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib is explaining this to the Siddhs and teaching us, why do we blame Akal Purkh Vaheguru? Whatever we are given is due to our own actions committed, whether in this life or in previous lives.
But
this is a gift. This is a gift of yours, Akal Purkh Vaheguru, of yours, Tan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji. You are the greatest giver, you are the greatest datar. This is even a gift from yourself, to have that dukh and bukh. Because with that gift, like I've just said, dukh daru sukh rog paya, with that dukh of being separated, we worship and praise the Lord more. With that bukh of that thirst of tasting the blessings, tasting that amrit, we develop spiritually, we recite the name more, and even that is a gift of yours.
Band khalasi bhane hoye.
And band khalasi, band means within a jail, being imprisoned. Khalasi means coming free from that imprisonment. Band khalasi, so being freed from that imprisonment. Bhane hoye, it's with the hukam of the Lord of Akal Purkh Vaheguru, within their command, that we can break from being imprisoned. Because what we are learning now, the Siddhs are saying, what do we do then? And what we should be doing, in our minds, listening to these teachings, we should now possibly be doing Benti. Be Sache Padshah, please break us free from this world, so we don't continually take, we don't deny after taking, we don't become foolish, we don't not repeat your name. Please. But Banda Khalasi is only going to be through Akal Purkh Vaheguruji's hukam, through their command. Breaking free from this 8.4 million lives is only from them. If anybody in this world says to you they can help you break free, they are telling you a lie. Nobody apart from Akal Purkh Vaheguru and their embodiment, their form on this earth, Tan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, through their blessings can you break free from the 8.4 million lives, and can you break free from any attachment, any ego, any lust, any anger, any greed within society.
Hor aakh na saka koi.
No one, hor aakh na saka koi. No one in this world can do that for you. No one can ask that for you. You have to do it for yourself, and only Akal Purkh Vaheguru can break you free from that. No one is here that can do that.
Jeko khaik aakhan pai.
Khaik means murak, means foolish again. Jeko khaik aakhan pai. If anybody says aakhan, if anybody starts to say that they will be able to help you,
oho jana jetiya moh khai.
If anybody says they will be able to break you free from the 8.4 million lives, what happens to them? Oho jana, you know this, and even they will know this. They will come to know this, whether it be in their life or at the end of their life. They will have to take Jetya mohe khai. On their mouth they have to take the pains of sticks from the Jamdut at the end of their life or within this life. So even they will come to know, even if they try to explain to you that they can break you free, they can bless you, even they will have to take the pain on their face with the sticks of the Jamdut. That is what Tan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji is telling us.
Ape jana, ape de.
Ape ape jana. The true Lord, the great giver, knows themselves. Ape de. They are the only ones who are going to give you that blessing. However, those who come to realize that, those spiritual Gursikhs who become one with the Lord, they are very, very rare. They are few and far between in the true Lord's creation. They are very difficult to find, but even they will not say they can break you from the 8.4 million lives. Even they will direct you to Tan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, the Jodh of Akal Purkh Vaheguru, Turki Bani Ai, then Sagli Chint Mitai. They will take all our tensions, worries, pain, sufferings away. Only in the sanctuary, only in the Sharan, only in the court of Tan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji can you be blessed in that way. And even those who become one with the true Lord, those rare ones know this, that even they will directly to Tan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And those who become lucky enough to be granted that gift of Sift Salaha, of worship and praising, those who are lucky to be, who get granted that gift, and then they go ahead and practice worship, they go ahead and practice praising the Lord. What I mean by practice, they continue to repeat the name, they partake in seva, they continue the Simran, they listen to Katha and Kirtan, and by listening they start to believe, and then by believing they start to follow and act on the hukam and the command. And then when they do that, what happens to them? They become one with the Lord, and Tan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji completes their teachings.
Nanak Pat Sahi Pat Sahu.
Tan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji complete their teachings within this body. Those rare few, those who are blessed with worship, the opportunity to worship and praise the true Lord. Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji is telling the Siddhs and telling us, what do they become? Fateh Sahi, Fateh Sahu. They become kings of kings. Now another small little story from many ages ago. There was a king who lived in his kingdom, and what he would do, he would get his servant every day to lay his bed where he would sleep at night with flowers, with petals, so it would be really soft and there would be a nice fragrance coming out to keep the king fragrant, but also have a soft bed with those petals and feathers so he could sleep comfortably. Now one day the servant who used to prepare that bed for him every day with fresh petals and feathers looked and thought, why don't I have a go? Why don't I see how soft this bed is? And they laid on that bed. And the servant then laying on the bed, being it so soft, fell asleep on the bed. And they fell asleep for so long that it came the time when the king was coming to sleep. And when the king saw his servant asleep on the bed, he picked up a stick and started beating the servant. How dare the servant lay on the bed of the king? How dare the servant pollute the bed by laying on that bed that was prepared for him? But as he was beating the servant would cry, but at the same time would giggle. And the king became more frustrated and continued to beat the servant. And the servant again would cry, but continued to giggle and laugh as well at the same time. And the king stopped beating and asked the servant, every time I beat you, obviously you're feeling the pain and you're crying and you're screaming, but why are you laughing? Why are you giggling? And the servant said, I have only slept on this bed for some minutes, for some time, and you are giving me this beating. That is why I'm screaming. But I'm laughing because if I'm only sleeping for some minutes, I'm getting this level of beating, of this level of pain and suffering, then what about you who sleeps on this bed daily for many, many hours? What type of suffering, what type of beating are you going to take? She, the servant, was giving the teaching that the king is living the life of luxury. That king does not think about his kingdom. That king is full of ego and thinking only about himself and living in luxury, forgetting about the path of spirituality and what the king should be doing, trying to break free from the 8.4 million lives. But when she said that, the king realized that what he had done was wrong, and he took that as a teaching to himself to now start that path of spirituality and develop his spirituality so he could become one with Vaheguru. So he left his kingdom, abdicated, and gave the kingship to his son. And he went to live in the jungles at that time, and he went to continue and start his path of spirituality. And as time went by, people would come to the kingdom, to his son, who was now the king, and laugh at him, said, "Your dad, you're the king of this kingdom. You have this great kingdom. But your father is very, very poor, living in the jungles." And as people would say this to this king, the new king, the son, he would feel very ashamed. And one day he decided to go find his father and bring him back to the throne, bring him back to the kingdom. And when he found his father, he begged his father, "Please, father, come back. It's very shameful for me for you to be living out here." And his father said, "No, even you, son, should go on the path of this spirituality, because when you are blessed by Vaheguru, you are blessed with great spirituality." And his son goes, "No, I have a kingdom to look after, and I would like you to come home." And the king said, "Okay then." And the king said, "I dropped my pin." He had a pin, and he said, "I've dropped this, his sui, in the flowing stream or the flowing river that was going by. Could you get somebody to get it out of the stream or the river, and then I will come back with you?" And his son sent his army to look into the river. They couldn't find that sui, they couldn't find that pin. And he called for more people to search. They blocked off the river with sandbags, and they tried to go deeper. They couldn't find their father's pin. So they let the river or the stream start flowing again. And the father said to his son, "You are the king, and you have many followers and many servants, and you can't find my sui. Shall I give it a go?" And due to his spirituality, due to his development, through his intuition, he could speak to the fish. And he sent that intuitive message to the fish, who swam deep down and brought that sui back to the top and gave it to him. And he gave his teaching to his son. And there's a teaching for us in this, not about using that intuition, not about speaking to animals, not about speaking to fish, but his father said to his son, "You being a great king and having all these, you still could not find this sui. But look, the type of king I am. I have many more followers. Through my intuition, through my spirituality, the fish brought that sui back to the top and gave it to us." So Guru Sahib Ji is saying, if you're a king, if you're on a path of spirituality, you become a king of kings, because you have the whole of the creation working for you. If you are one with the Lord, then you are like the Lord. You are godly. The whole of the creation will then work for you, will work positively for you, not materialistically, not for worldly ends, but to do the work of the Lord, to do the will of the Lord, to help humanity, to do seva for his creation, and to do the Lord's work. So those who are blessed with spirituality, those who are blessed with praise and worship, the opportunity to praise and worship, those who understand the hukam, those who ask for the right things, those who ask to be taken out of this society and break free from the Panch Jod, what do they become? Then Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji at the end of this 25th Pauri is explaining to the Siddhs and explaining to us that you or that person becomes a king of kings. Nanak Pad Sahi Pad Sahu. Let's pray to the Lord Akal Purkh Vaheguru and Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji that they give us the opportunity, they give us the chance to become a king of kings, to give us the blessing of becoming one with Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. I pray to Tan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji that they bless us all with Guru Sikhi, so we can feel that experience and we can feel that Anand while we are living on this world, so we can live out the rest of our lives in ultimate bliss. And I beg you, the Saad sangat, to bless me with Brahma Gyan, so I can continue sharing the teachings of Tan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji within Sri Japji Sahib, the Bani that is going to give us all the true knowledge of Vaheguru Brahma Gyan. Deho Sajanasi Siriya Jo Hova Sahib Syo Mel
Jesano Bakhse
Sifat Salah ਨਾਨਕ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।